A Japanese mother watches her one-year-old fall down. He cries. He looks up at her, waiting. She does not move. To most Western parents, this looks wrong, maybe even cruel. But to her, this moment is one of the most important gifts she can give his developing brain. And here is what makes this fascinating. Japan has maintained one of the highest average IQs in the world for decades across tens of millions of children. It is not genetics, it is not the school system. The real answer starts much earlier, in the crib, in the kitchen, in the bath. Today, we are looking at 4 parenting habits researchers believe are behind this. And I will be honest with you, there is one on this list I find almost impossible to practice myself. We will get to it last. One quick note before we begin. Some of what you are about to hear sounds extreme to Western ears. I am not asking you to copy any of it. I am showing you what the science actually says. You decide what fits your family. Let us start. Habit 4. Skinship. In Japan, there is a word that does not translate into English, skinship. It means closeness through skin contact. Mothers and babies bathe together every night. They co-sleep often until the child is 6 or 7 years old. Babies are carried against the body for the first 2 years of life, not pushed in strollers. Most Western parenting advice says this creates dependency, that carrying a baby too much will spoil them. The research tells the opposite story entirely. A study published in Developmental Psychology found that infants who experienced consistent physical closeness in their first year showed measurable changes at the molecular level, specifically in the genes that control stress response. Research from Notre Dame University linked early skin contact to stronger emotional regulation and better cognitive performance years later. And here is what I find remarkable about Japan specifically. This is one of the most modern, high-technology countries on Earth, the country that gave the world bullet trains and robotics, and yet, in the most intimate corner of family life, the way a mother holds her child, they never gave up the ancient way. Modern does not have to mean cold. Habit 3. Real food early. In Japan, weaning does not usually start with bland rice cereal or sweet purees. It starts with miso broth, soft white fish, seaweed, steamed vegetables, tofu, real savory food introduced as early as 5 or 6 months old. Now, different countries have different official guidelines, and you should always speak with your doctor before changing how you feed your baby. But the research here is striking. Japanese babies grow up with one of the highest dietary intakes of DHA in the world. DHA is an omega-3 fatty acid, and the infant brain is roughly 60% fat, a huge portion of which is DHA. Without it, the brain literally cannot build itself properly. A long-running study from the University of Bristol followed thousands of children for years. Mothers who consumed more seafood during pregnancy and early infancy had children with measurably better verbal IQ, stronger fine motor skills, and better social development by age 8. Compare that to standard Western weaning foods, rice cereal, applesauce, sweet potato puree. There's nothing wrong with these, but they are calories. They are not brain food. My honest opinion is this. I do not think Japanese babies develop differently because of one single ingredient. I think their first experience of food is real food, bitter, salty, savory, complex. And that single choice shapes more than the brain. It shapes the entire relationship a child will have with food for the rest of their life. Habit 2. They do not talk down. In most Western homes, you'll hear it constantly. The high-pitched voice, the exaggerated tone. Does the baby want the bottle? Yes, he does. In Japan, it's different. There is an approach called katari kake ikuji, which loosely translates to narrating childcare. From the day a baby is born, Japanese mothers tend to speak to them in full, normal sentences. They explain what they are doing. They describe the weather. They narrate dinner being made. To an outsider, it looks strange. The baby cannot respond. It looks like a one-way conversation. But inside that baby's brain, something important is happening. In one of the most famous studies in child development, researchers Betty Hart and Todd Risley discovered that the number of words a child hears before the age of 3 is one of the strongest predictors of their academic success years later. By kindergarten, some children had heard 30 million more words than others. 30 million! Now, some researchers argue that warm baby talk does help language development, and I want to be fair about that. Baby talk is not the enemy, but there is a difference between warm, melodic speech full of real words and dumbed-down baby talk that treats the baby like they can't understand. The Japanese approach keeps the warmth and drops the dumbing down entirely. And out of everything in this video, this is the habit I think about most because it costs absolutely nothing. No toy, no app, no program. You just need to talk to your baby like they are already listening, because they already are. Habit 1. The one I told you about at the beginning, the one I find almost impossible to practice. They give their babies real responsibility, long before the world says they're ready. In Japan, there is a famous television show called Hajime no Otsukai. It translates to My First Errand. Cameras follow toddlers, some as young as 2.5 years old, as they walk through real streets alone to buy something for their mother. Real traffic, real shops. To Western viewers, it's shocking. To Japanese families, it's a tradition. The show has been running on national television since 1991. But the errand isn't really the point. From the moment a Japanese child can walk, they are given real tasks. They pour their own water, they carry groceries, they put their own shoes away at 2 years old. In Western parenting, the instinct is, he's only 2, let me do it for him. In Japanese parenting, the assumption is reversed. He's already 2, of course he can do it. And the research backs this completely. Marty Rossman at the University of Minnesota tracked children for over 25 years into adulthood. The single best predictor of adult success, better than IQ, better than family income, better than the parent's education, was whether the child had been given household responsibilities starting between ages 3 and 4. 3 and 4! Most of us are still doing everything for them at that age. This is the hardest habit for me personally. Every instinct wants to step in, to help, to fix. Watching a small child struggle with something I could do in 5 seconds feels almost unbearable. But that discomfort is the whole point. That's the brain being built. Here is the truth that sits underneath all 4 of these habits. The smartest babies in the world are not being trained. They are being trusted. They are held close, fed real food, spoken to like full human beings, and given the dignity of doing things on their own. It is not a method. It is a way of seeing your child. And the most powerful part of all, you can start any one of these tonight with nothing more than the choice to do it. If one of these habits made you stop and think, tell me in the comments which one. I read every single one. See you in the next video.